because I'm out here in LA and I'm walking the streets and I'm breathing the air, what I figured I'll talk to you guys about today is actually making the move from Toronto to LA. Because a lot of people ask me about it. Number one, how I did it, the immigration process, all that. For sure, people always want to know that. It's complicated. If you want help, if you want recommendations for an immigration lawyer and all that stuff, hit me up. I could definitely help you with that. But just in regards to like the mental state of moving, something that comes up a lot actually that a lot of people ask me is like, yo, didn't it feel strange to just like uproot and leave everything that you've built? Especially because in Toronto, I have a good reputation as a professional in media, right? I've been in Toronto my entire career. Started in radio, moved to television, and then, worked my way up. Started on CKLN 88.1, doing hip-hop radio, off the tracks. Then I moved to the CBC, started working on The Hour with George Strombolopoulos. Started at the bottom as an intern, then a PA. Eventually worked my way up to like a visual researcher, producer. And then by the end of my time with Strombo, like 5-6 years later, I was directing and producing House of Strombo, which was his series, really dope series. All of the episodes and all of the music sessions and all of the interviews live online. You can find them on YouTube. So if you haven't seen any House of Strombo stuff, stop what you're doing right now. I even give you permission to pause this video. Go to the House of Strombo YouTube page and check out all of the amazing sessions that George did in his crib. And I was fortunate enough to direct and produce and be part of that amazing project, that amazing team, because it was just a really dope project. But on that note, definitely go check that out. But that's kind of the trajectory of my career, was starting in radio, moving to CBC, moving to television. Then as the platforms changed and evolved and digital media started to become more popular, obviously magazines like Complex started dominating with their digital content, with shows like Sneaker Shopping with Joe LaPuma, shout out Joe LaPuma, Hot Ones with Sean Evans, shout out Sean Evans, right? So as those platforms started to pick up, not only did those platforms really dominate, but a lot of the networks and other companies wanted to start mimicking that kind of content, right? So that's why I moved into digital content in that way. And I'm really glad I did, because that became a pivotal part of my career, a pivotal part of what I even do today, right? So started moving into that. And when Complex came to Canada, I was lucky enough to get tapped to be part of that team. So that's kind of my trajectory into media. Obviously that working at Complex for 5 years or whatever really helped me solidify myself in Canada as a professional in media, like I was saying, both in front of the camera as a host and as an interviewer and as a journalist, but also as a producer and someone who creates content, right? So doing that then led me to so many private clients and different kinds of deals, and being able to moderate panels and be part of music discussions and so much other stuff. So I understand why, when coming to LA, like when I have that conversation with people, why they ask, why did I make the move? And was it hard to make the move? And the answer, if I'm being honest, is yeah, man, it was hard. It was hard to just get up and leave, especially at such a pivotal time in my life when there was so much happening, right? So let me give you a quick little recap of what I had going on at that time. By the way, check out this Apple store downtown LA. It's beautiful. It used to be old theater. I don't think I'm doing it justice from this angle. So let me just pull back a little bit so you can see how dope this Apple store really is. Look at this. Beautiful. It used to be an old theater. But when you got that Apple money, I mean, you could take over cool spaces like this. But back to the story. Okay, so at the time, a lot of people don't know this, but I've actually been planning and had been in the works to move to LA for a long time. So back in the day, my first time coming to LA, I came out here with some homies. Shout out my homie Biz, Beat Merch, and a bunch of other people that we came out with. But I came out here and I fell in love with this city. Something about the palm trees, the sunshine. I must have been maybe 21 or something like that at the time when I first came out here. And I just knew this was a place that I wanted to either visit more often or come and live here. I just knew that I had a connection with this place. So since then, 21 years old, you know, I've been dreaming and thinking about coming to LA. So, you know, fast forward, life goes on. I'm in my career. I meet Tiff, we start dating. Me and Tiff get married, all that good stuff, right? And Tiff gets an opportunity to go to the US, and she starts working as a stylist. She's killing it in her career, right? She's working with Shawn Mendes, one of the biggest, you know, pop stars in the world. She's working with him, and she gets signed. Number one, she gets signed to an agency in Toronto, right? So she's doing her stuff in Toronto with her Toronto agency. Then she gets signed to a bigger agency in New York. So she moves to New York, and she's killing it in New York. Again, still working with Sean, a bunch of other celebrity clients. And then she knows that my dream is to move to LA. And for her career, it just makes a lot of sense too. Because a lot of the celebrities and stuff that she's working with, a lot of them are LA based to begin with. But of course, New York is another entertainment hub where people go to get dressed and for award shows and all that kind of stuff. So they're out there doing that already. So, point is, she gets an opportunity to sign to another, even bigger agency in LA. She takes that opportunity, and she knows that I'm already on board because I want to be out there. And luckily for me, I had also already done some stuff in New York. Like I said, I've done some stuff with Viacom, BET, MTV, just like cool projects, right? So I already had a footing in the door in the US professionally as well. So fast forward, put in my application for my green card, permanent residency, to work in the US, to live in the US. And man, my application goes in right before COVID hits, right? So COVID hits, and let me tell you how that delayed everything. So at the time, you know, an immigration process to get your green card and stuff can take like up to 2 years or something like that. But because of the pandemic, because of COVID, the immigration process was completely delayed. So that shit took like 5 years. So for 5 years, me and Tiff are in this holding pattern where she's in LA, traveling back and forth, you know, for me basically, but her work is in LA. And then I'm not able to fully be in LA, so a lot of my work is in Toronto, and then I'm traveling to LA when I can to see her. So we were in that for like 5 years. It was a very challenging time. emotionally and everything. If I'm being honest, right? It's taxing when you want to be with somebody, but you guys are in different cities. But you know, me and Tiff, we have a really dope relationship, and something like that was never gonna come between us. And we knew ultimately what the end goal was. It was for both of us to be here in LA and just crush it. So it was a very trying time for patience, because every month goes by and you're like, man, when is this gonna happen? When is this gonna come through? And then finally, you know, towards the end of last year in 2024, I finally got my appointment at the consulate in Montreal for my permanent residency. Then my actual green card and all that stuff started to come through by the end of the year. So at the top of this year, it was like guns blazing, let's go, right? Let's get to LA. Of course, Tiff and I had also been talking about having a kid. So we had been talking about trying to get pregnant and all that stuff. And it just so happens that we were fortunate, we were blessed. You know, we didn't have to do none of that IVF stuff, which, you know, what a blessing that exists for people who want to have kids when they are biologically unable to. What a blessing to have that, right? But fortunately for us, it just happened naturally, right? So Tiff is pregnant towards the end of the year, last year, 2024. Come 2025, she's full on pregnant, and we're both here in LA now, right? I started the year here in LA. January, I'm out here, and everything is new. Navigating healthcare, you know, getting my driver's license. Like, it's like starting from scratch. I had to do everything all over again. Not to mention that we still have our place in Toronto. So looking at trying to sell that, but the market isn't good for selling in Toronto right now. Trying to lease it out, which luckily we actually just did last week. So it took almost a whole year to do that, right? So just like navigating all that, plus, you know, Tiff being pregnant, it was a lot. It was a lot. So when people ask, like, how did you do it? Why did you do it? Do you miss Toronto? Honestly, it's one of the most challenging things that I've ever done, is picking up, uprooting, and moving to a new city. But I have to say, honestly, it was worth it. It was 1000% worth it, because now I'm finally out here, feet on the ground, putting in the work, and just living out the dream. So what I will say though is, for anybody who's considering a move like that, definitely consider timing and consider your long-term goals and where you are in your career. Just make sure that the timing works with the way that you're planning the move. Luckily for me and Tiff, it's worked out. If I'm being real, I'm not going to come on here and say that it's been easy. It's been really challenging, right? But when it's been part of your long-term goal to do something, and you finally do it, whether it's easy or it's hard, it feels like an accomplishment, because you know that you got something major checked off your bucket list. By the way, I'm here at Starbucks. This is a really dope restaurant called Takoya. It's like healthy Mexican eats, and right behind this side actually here is the Starbucks. So I'm gonna go in there in just a second. Yeah, you can see the Starbucks umbrella. Whenever you see one of those, you know you're close. But anyways, look, I'm not gonna go in there and be one of those annoying guys that comes in with a camera. And especially now, like an old MiniDV cam and talking to cam. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be that annoying guy. But I'm just out on the street, so I'm gonna chill here and just finish my thought before I go in. But what I was gonna say is that nothing good, honestly, in life that's worth it is ever easy. So was it hard? Yeah, it was really hard. If I'm being honest, picking up and leaving is really hard. leaving such a vast network also in Toronto. Like, I've been in Toronto my whole life, so professionally I'm known there. As a freelancer, I could call a few people and get work if I needed to in LA. I could just, pitch to companies and Canadian reps of certain companies to like pitch them ideas, land work, create content for people, pitch myself as a host, pitch myself as a moderator for different events and stuff. I could do all of that in Toronto. So coming to LA, obviously I've been coming here for the last few years, but my network is nowhere near as close, as robust as it is in Toronto. So coming here, number one, is a risk, because you're coming out here hoping that you can get the same things popping that you had in the place that you're coming from, right? Number two, now I'm doing that with the added element of being a father. So, back in the day when you're trying to do something risky and you're like, man, if I have to sleep on a friend's couch, or if I need to skip a meal or whatever to make this happen, I'll make it happen. I've been there before. So many creatives have been there, where you're like, whatever it takes to accomplish this, I'm gonna get it done. As a father now, I don't have that luxury where I can be like, my kid can't eat, but that's okay because I want to get this done. No, that's not possible. Like, right now, my priority is my son, making sure that my son is taken care of. He's also really little, right? He's only 5 months, so he requires so much, and I'm also out here grinding. So if I'm being real, it's not easy. But at the end of the day, what I can say is I trust myself, and I trust in my ability to be able to come into a new market, come into a new city, and get active. I've done it before. I've done it in Toronto. I've done it in Scarborough. I've done it in New York. I could do it in LA. And what I'll say now is I moved here in January, Q1, right? We're now in Q4. We're in September. And if I'm being honest, I'm not 100% where I want to be yet in the city and doing all the projects that I want to do. But I can say that I've hit the ground running. I've made some amazing connections that I could have never made if I was in Toronto, because I'm out here daily now. So being out here daily gives me access to being mobile to get to certain events, get to certain people's studios, connecting with certain people through PR agencies and other agencies that don't exist in Toronto. So if I'm looking at it from that perspective, I'm very proud of myself for coming here, taking the risk with added responsibilities, but sticking to my guns and like really, capitalize on the opportunity of being here, because I'm not taking it for granted. I know how hard and how much work it took to get here, so I'm not squandering this opportunity. I'm out here with the most desire to be here, with the most desire to want to make this work. So I'm taking all the meetings, I'm cold calling people, I'm cold emailing people, and just through that hustle, I've manifested, with the help of God, obviously, some incredible relationships. And those relationships already have become very fruitful for me. So very soon, you're going to see some cool projects that I'm involved with, some that I'm producing, others that I'm going to be hosting and certain things like that. But you're going to see some really cool projects that I'm part of. And it's literally just off the sheer strength of muscling my way into opportunities with the desire and the passion of wanting to be here. So if you're gonna uproot yourself and you're thinking of going to a bigger market, a lot of people from my hometown of Toronto and Scarborough, a lot of us have dreams of hitting a bigger market. And Toronto's really dope. Don't get it twisted. I love Toronto. And Toronto is a continuously growing market. So I'm really proud of Toronto and all the work that we've done as a city and as an entertainment hub to grow. We're doing amazing things there. But I did feel like I hit a glass ceiling at some point, like I made it to the top and there was nowhere else for me to go in the city. I could continue to make lateral moves. Oh, I just turned the light on by accident. Hold up. There we go. I could continue to make lateral moves, but I couldn't necessarily make a move above. I couldn't jump into the next high up position because there just wasn't anywhere left to go. Like once I made it to the top of Complex in Canada, there's not much else to do for somebody like me that wants to work in music and entertainment, pop culture and hip hop. There just isn't a lot of outlets like that. But in the US, this is number one where those outlets come from. And number two, there's an abundance of places for people like me who are interested in the passion points that I have to come out here and use my skills and my talents, right? So that's why I'm here. But I just want to say that for anyone who's planning on making a move like this, definitely plan it out, definitely think about timing. And if you are iffy about it, sit with that sit with that thought, because it's going to be a grind and you need to come out here or to whatever market you're thinking of going to, and you need to come out with like a really motivated mentality that's going to get you through the hard parts of making the move, right? So I do want to end on some positive note though. If you have the grind and you have the hustle, you could do it. I'm a Toronto kid. I'm from Scarborough. I rep Scarborough on my back wherever I go. Look, I'm wearing Barrio right now. I'm wearing my homie Carlos Brito's brand because it's Toronto, repping the homies, even out here in LA. I'm always going to rep where I'm from. But what I will say is, inside, in my heart, at the core, I have that Scarborough hustle. I have that Toronto hustle. I have that East Coast hustle instilled in me. I have that El Salvador immigrant hustle instilled in me. I've seen my parents break their back so that I could have it easy, right? We've also grown up in like ghetto buildings with piss in the hallways and all that stuff. And I've seen my parents climb from that to owning a beautiful home, becoming homeowners, coming to a country as refugees with nothing, literally a few dollars in their pockets, to becoming homeowners, having careers here. So that's something that's ingrained in me, in my essence of who I am. Hard work, determination, not taking no for an answer. So if you have that hustle and you have that work ethic and you have that grind, you can move anywhere and you're gonna win. So I'm gonna leave you on that note. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was motivational. I hope this encourages people who've maybe been on the fence to, yes, put some thought into it. But if you feel like you're ready, if you know that you're ready, don't keep waiting. Take that plunge, make that change. Move into a place that is better suited for your skills and for your talents, where you could grow and continue to evolve. If you're in a position or a place in your life where you feel like you've hit a glass ceiling, or there's nowhere to keep climbing, there's no more challenges to reach, make a move, do something different. And it doesn't have to be a physical move to a different city like what I'm talking about, or a different market. But even if you're just looking at this and you're like, I'm not really thinking about moving, but I definitely feel like I've hit a wall, or I've hit a ceiling where I'm not feeling challenged anymore, but you have that work ethic and you have that desire to want to do more, follow your gut, follow your passions, keep growing. Put yourself in positions where you're going to continue to grow and evolve and be the best version of yourself. That's all we could ever hope for. Nobody's perfect, but if every day you're making a move towards growth, towards being a better version of yourself as a human being, as a person, but also challenging yourself to continue to grow and sharpen your skills and your talents, that's a beautiful place to be in. And it's not going to be easy, but nothing good is easy. All right? I hope this was motivational. I hope this helps. Talk to you soon. Peace.